Yes. Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. Today being Sunday, it's an open discussion about Advaita, including the Bhagavad Gita classes that were conducted recently. So I've shared the links for accessing these on YouTube, talks on YouTube, which is Advaita Retold. There's also channels available through Spotify and Apple Podcast. There's also a book published by Artemisia based on Bindoji's insights into Advaita. The title is The Imaginary Door or Imaginary Door, and it's available on Amazon. You can also access the replays in Clubhouse. So as Bindoji always mentions, please come up and ask questions. Any question is worth a clarification. And with that, I open up the room. Over to you, Bindoji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste, Jay. Yes, still on.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Bindoji, my first question is, as we are focusing on Bhagavad Gita, the sex is generally a problem, especially for a spiritual seeker. People say you have to convert this basal low-level energy to the highest ecstasy, which is possible, and control it, sublimate it, or thwart it, and so many spiritual techniques and masters speak about how do we convert or control this sexual energy, which is unnecessary, especially after its job is done of procreation, of having a child, and after that, even society says it is unnecessary, it is pure pleasure, and especially in spirituality, they say this is wrong, right? I mean, it is convert this energy to a higher form of energy, because from Kundalini it is the lowest, convert it to the highest. So, from in Bhagavad Gita per se, is there any specific areas Krishna advises about sex, or is it generally like do whatever is needed as a job and stuff? So, is there any areas where there is specific advice about how do we manage sex?
No. In Krishna's dictionary, the word kama includes all sensual engagement with all the sense organ. Sex is a sensual enjoyment of the skin. That's all. The sensitivity varies from body portion to point of the body. But after all, it is a contact-based thing. But most of it works with the mind and the, imagination in the mind. So Krishna doesn't address any of those issues as requirement or thing, but he includes all sensual engagement which can take you like what his words, if you remember, all of them are like the, robbers on the highway. On our spiritual highway, we will be taken away from the path by the robbers. It is all included. It can be vision, auditory, touch, smell, taste, everything is included in that. Any overindulgence other than requirement for the body to be maintained is a engagement beyond needs. That's all what Krishna is talking about. But he doesn't say that, you should not have the sensual engagement. Guna guneshu vartande. The sense objects are for the senses. But you are neither the sense organs, nor the sense objects, nor the mind which is enjoying that. You are the witness and just observe that. That's all he says.
Thanks, Vindaji. And after listening you from the past few weeks, and I mean, earlier I never bothered too much in the spiritual line about social order. But I see Krishna is stressing so much on social order, like do it for as your duty, social order and all. He's stressing so much. So because we are playing this role, I understand if, hey, you work for yourself, your improvement, your name, fame, success and all, okay, agreeable. But then he stresses so much on the social order, and one of the, even like Buddhism and Jainism, those strict religions, if you see, they want to go away from the society and stay away from the society, but that's a different track. But why is there so much stress by Krishna on this following and abiding by the social order, Bindaji?
If you remember the verse where Krishna said that, Na kaschit chanamapi jadu tishtatya karmagrit. Even for a momentary second, one can never remain without doing an action. And an action is required as a living being. That is the nature of a life. The life itself is saying that engagement is part of living. But when we are knowing what is the purpose of each of the requirement from the social order to the personal level, when we can really make what is for what purpose, then none of them are separately seen as do's and don'ts. They are all part of the whole equation. Krishna himself says towards the chapter where says, even I am engaged in this world, even though I have nothing to gain or nothing which is left not gained yet, still I work varteyevacha karmani. That is when Krishna says that, which shows that from the point of view of the advice of Krishna, if you say that like the Buddhism or Jainism, you seclude away from the society, you are creating a society of your choice, but you are still not away from the society. It may be a society of monks or priests or nuns or people of that type. That doesn't mean that you are run away, you are withdrawn from the society. You are creating a society where you are secluded so that you are protected from your mind running away and getting into the social attractions. That's all what they are doing. But they are not running away from the society. So what Krishna says is that the attitude with which we engage in our life, in the world, if you know that the source is the same for everything in this world, and everything which is appearing as a name and form and multiplicity in this world has also come from the same source, which is indicating towards a situation that nothing is separate from you and me. And when that knowledge happens in us, we know that what is there in you is what is there in me. Or what I am made is the same thing what you are made. Or everything in this world is made. So what is the necessity for me to have a desire to have something when the source is the same? That is the ultimate knowledge which he is talking about.
Okay, thanks, Bindaji. This is helpful. And my next question is, see, a few minutes ago, you touched about we have to act. There's no escape from that. The body mind has to act. And one of the problem is our whole society, to take care of this body and even a little bit of the mind, we need food, clothing and shelter. And to get food, clothing and shelter, we have to go and get a job. And this is not, and to get a job and to have a normal social life, we need medical care, internet, a smartphone and a vehicle to transport ourselves and stuff and education fees and so many things are coming. And to get so many of those things, we have to get another so many of activities we have to do. So, looks like our life is built on multiple layers of levels of abstraction, even though all these abstractional requirements and demands is for body only. Basically body only, survival, but to take care of this body, we need food, clothing, shelter, and then internet, medical, school fees, education, transportation, another thing. And to get all those things, we need bank account and financing and salary and office competition, because if we don't compete with our teammate, we might lose our job, right? So looks like this world, even though it starts very, very low and basic of the body, it builds on like many, many layers of abstraction. So it is not that simple only, no, Binduji?
Yeah. See, the thing is that the whole thing is created by us. Sangat samjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate. That verse which we said that, by contact, we develop a desire to have it. And that there is no end to that desire. One after the other, the desire keeps coming and then we keep developing on that. That are the layers which you are talking about. And in that, there is success and there failure. If we get what we want, we feel elated and happy about it. If we are, thwarted or we are rejected by that, we feel sorrow about it. And all these things are all out of the same contact and the desire thereafter. So it's not that the desire is bad or contact is bad, but in the intelligence or the viveka with which we need to get ourselves into the, the system of the world with which we are being part of the world. If we don't understand that, then we will be at the mercy of the, the unknown. But when we know that how the things are working in the world, where is the, I am getting lost out of control, driven by something else. If we know that, then we are in a position where we can control it and remain in the world, like what Krishna himself has done. He being born and working, leading a life on doing all those things, becoming, part of the Kauravas and Pandavas. How did he manage to be there in their life, yet remain untouched by them? That is what we are to learn from this thing. It is not that doing a job or building multiple layers, all are unnecessary things. No, don't think that way. Think the way in which the necessity is masquerading as a desire masquerading as a necessity. We don't know when that desire has now taken a shape as a necessity. That is where we do not draw a line. In fact, I was reading a forward in one WhatsApp. In the Torah of the Jews, it seems there is a saying: wait for 3 days before you decide to buy anything. Because after 3 days you still feel like buying, you need to buy it, then it is a necessity. But if you wait for 3 days and you are now feeling that I can manage without it, then that is not a necessity. We don't do a postmortem of our needs when we are being pulled by the attractions of the objects of the world. That is where the difference should be working intelligently within ourselves. That is where the Viveka has to come in.
Thanks, Binduji. Just to add a couple of interesting things to this point, I read while reading Osho, Gurdjieff, one of the Russian masters, I believe, his father told him, before acting or reacting, you wait for 24 hours. And Gurdjieff says that it is the greatest advice his father has given, and it transformed it. And even Buddha says, uses the word, I think, nidana, which is like the difference between reaction and responding to the situation. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So instead of getting into this emotional impulse, even they say 5-second waiting is sufficient, even though 24 hours and 3 days is better. Because that animalistic nature takes over.
Right. That is why the Sangat Samjayate Kama, that word by Bhagavad Gita, is so important that the contact makes us develop the desire. But the desire, whether it is a necessity or not, we don't think about it. And then the desire takes over us. And then we are driven by the desires.
So now, maybe one last question for now. How do we have this clear cut? See, we have to take care of our body and the social responsibilities. That is a mandatory thing, non-negotiable. And so, how do we, is there any quick litmus test to find out, hey, is this desire or this is what I'm required or expected to do, playing my role? Because I have to go to work. Is it because of desire that I have this egotistic need, I have this position and the power and the salary, or it is my sincere requirement because I have to pay my rent? What are the ways before we are dragged into that, Binduji, we can know, no, this is my responsibility or this is my desire? Because both places we have to act. Like, there's no running away from action.
See, the what we have to do is, are we under the control of the impulses, or are we being controlled out of our logical, intellectual, and understanding of the situation? This will make the difference. If it is logical, understandable, we have done enough inquiry into the actions which are required, and then we are entering it, then we will have the complete control over the situation. But when we are pulled into a situation by our emotions or a spontaneous reaction, we have no knowledge about what we are entering in. That is the time when we become the losers, or we fall flat on our nose. Such situations should be avoided. So it is not that in living we are not supposed to engage in the society. Society is part of our living. And understand that the society is not separate from you. It is part of the same world which has created you and the society. So, treating the society as separate, unwanted distraction is not the way to approach it. Approach it as a total system where you are also a cog in the wheel. I mean, just as the wheel need to survive, you also. That is why the yajnarto karmano anyastra. That when we do the actions in the form of a yajna, then we are contributing the same system to be surviving. But if we become a hypocrite, pretending to be in the society, but making bleeding the society for our own selfish interest, then we are not understanding that we are part of the society. So we have to be very careful when we engage in the world.
Okay, Binduji. Thank you. That's all from my side for now.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste, Shrikant.
Namaste, Binduji. So I'm just taking a clue from Jay's question. I'm just recollecting what Ramana said in one instance. He said, apply Advaita only at the mind level. Don't go beyond that. So, and to put it in an example, suppose I'm working in office. I have to have a thought that, everybody is one, but there are hierarchies, right? How do we reconcile? That's what I wanted to ask you, Binduji. I'm just rephrasing what Jay's question in a different way.
Yeah. See, that the hierarchy and the office situation, not only office situation, it can be at home with relatives or any situation. We need to be, as I said earlier, that what Krishna advised us. Don't jump to conclusions and react to it. What is the situation, how it is being to be done, with the knowledge when we are engaged into any activity. That is why we need to have knowledge of everything is that solution for the problems. And when we know the knowledge or the total picture of the situation, our actions will be with that in the mind, and our direction will be based on the benefit of, not selfishly, but the benefit of the system to be, the best performing system. That way, when we are engaging in the office or in the family or in the society, nobody is getting hurt. And if nobody is getting hurt, you will also not be punished or, deprived of your own benefits. It will happen when, somebody becomes selfish, and such people cannot survive for long. They will be identified and the system will throw them out.
So, Binduji, so in other words, can I, put it in this way that a decision or action which I'm going to take, if it benefits the larger, group of people than only myself, then that is the right action. Can we put it in that way?
That is the way to do it. You are working for the system. The system means it can be at the family level or the social level or the office level or the country level or at the humanity as a total. Anywhere, when we have a larger, view, then you cannot be selfish.
Understand. And another question, Binduji, in the 11th chapter or so, Krishna says to Arjuna that, whether you like it or not, whether you're going to do this or not, the people around you, in that Vishwarupa Darshana, he says, these people are going to go away anyway, whether you're going to do it or not. So you just be an instrument and just go ahead and do it. In a way, it's like telling all of us is that everything is, scripted. You just be, actor and just do what you have to do at that point of circumstance with this mindset. Is that what they are trying to convey?
Yeah, in fact, are we not the script writers of our story? Our desires with which we engage in the world, we manipulate, modify, and do things with the way in which we are supposed to be doing. But we think that it is our willpower and our desires with which we are doing it. Actually speaking, even the desires is not ours. It has come because of the gunas or the nature of our inner mind, antakarana, what we call it as. So what happens is that when Krishna says that nimittamatram bhava savyasajin, means you be a instrument. Oh, ambidextrous one. Savyasajin means ambidextrous. He can shoot an arrow, both the hands in the same excellence. right hand or left hand, he can do that. He can imagine today a batsman who can bat left hand and right hand both equally well. He can take one over in right hand and the next over he can take it with left hand. The bowlers will be confused, right? So Arjuna is a person who can do both arrow shooting with the right and left. So when he asked that word, whether you want to do it the right way or the wrong way, or your right hand side or the left hand side, things which is supposed to happen is going to happen whether you like it or not. Because you are seeing only this very moment. Whereas Krishna, who knows the whole total picture, is able to see the larger picture which is going to even time-wise what is going to happen. So he says that, be an instrument, don't bring your personal selfish interest into picture and think that you are going to do it or you are refusing to do it. Both will not work because it is going to happen.
Yes, Pandit. And this is a simple doubt, The other thing is, the body as such does not say I or something. And the conscious level also nothing, it doesn't speak. It is what it is. But all of a sudden some person comes in and says, I am so and so. And after that, it keeps adding layers and layers of thoughts and desires and goes on. But once, if we just look at it, it just, stills the mind. But again, I don't know how it comes. It just keeps coming up again and again. It's like, tap and you just tap and tap, and it just keeps coming and going. Is there something that has to be done on a moment-to-moment basis like this, or is there any other better way?
Can't you see that, the I in all of us is based on our memories? It is never on the present moment that the I is there. The I of present moment is a bundle of our memories, which makes the individuality of who we are. And that memories have got conditions. Because I am so and so, my requirements or my actions will be so and so. That connection between the memory and our expectation is the reason why we become the selfish individuals. But when we understand that the memories are nothing but what I have gathered over my, experiences. But in the experiences, what I have gathered is my knowledge, not the reality, but the knowledge as I thought it is real. That is where the difference comes from. So the moment you know that I have not understood every experience from the point of view of the purity of the experience, then we will be able to get out of our memory controlling us. That has to be understood in the sense that memory is based on what we thought from our experience as right or wrong or whatever may be that. That has to be revisited if you want to correct it. Revisiting is when the opportunity comes again for that in a similar experience. Earlier I thought it is, now because the education or the learning is going on the spiritual path, you will get an opportunity to reevaluate a similar experience which is going to happen now. That time, you can able to rewrite what memory you had created with the correct knowledge, because now you are better equipped with the information about with the spirituality as to how to approach an experience. And that will erase our baggage of memories, and that is what will help us reduce our ego.
Thank you, Panditji.
Thank you, Shukran. Namaste, Joy.
Namaste, Bindoji. You like cricket, Bindoji?
I like everything. I don't
You
hate
gave a
anything.
cricket example. That's what I thought.
Yeah. I like everything. Cricket. I like even rugby. I like tennis, table tennis.
Nice.
No game is, game is for game's sake.
Mm.
But I don't get what you call engaged in the game.
There's wisdom right there. So the conversation that was going on, I agree with what you said, and then the example that Jay gave of Gurdjieff, that to think about it and don't react. There's a slightly interesting perspective which is coming. Obviously, that would be at a different application. These days, you'll hear, that, for example, if there's depression, get angry, and that will take care of the depression. So implying that something that has gotten suppressed or repressed or basically not expressed somehow unconsciously leads to something else kind of thing, right? So that's another sort of maybe slightly subjective thing of saying, which is also in its way correct when things are not expressed and kind of not on purpose but unconsciously also.
Right. See, unconsciously is what we are saying is also triggered by our latent impressions, or what we call it as a subconscious mind. There is nothing which will happen without our knowledge.
I mean, on the one hand, it's being, that don't express it, just sort of, obviously the meaning goes deeper than that. So there is obviously something that is clear right there. But in aligning both the things, the thing of not expressing it, not, versus the fact that if you don't express it, it doesn't cause harm. And sometimes if you don't express it, it supposedly does cause harm, kind of thing. I was asking your view on that.
The harm or not is our reaction, actually speaking. What we call it as harm or happiness is our reaction to a situation. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is that we should not. Sukha dukkhe samikritva labha labho jaya jayo. When he says that, have the equanimity to both happiness and sorrow, win or lose, heat or cold. They are nature's law. But our reaction is what it makes is, happiness or suffering.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. If it is already kind of aware before the reaction is happening within oneself, before it's not so much whether it's being expressed or not, but one is already conscious before that, right? Then I guess it may not even be unconsciously getting repressed, and then in that case it would be you can be the observer, you may not express it, but then at the same time you're also not suppressing, and therefore it's not harmful, I suppose, is what it means, right?
See, sometimes, most of the time when we are living in this world, we are not fully aware of every moment what is being done by us. The attention or the presence, what we call it as, that is why in the Kena Upanishad it is said, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Every experience, are we 100% in it? Not engagement wise, but at least presence or attention wise. If we can do that, then we are not going to be controlled or victimized by anything. We become witness, just a witness, that's all.
Exactly. So if it's not being expressed, but it's also not being thoroughly witnessed at the deepest level, where it's being felt and not expressed, that would be not the right thing.
You need to be witness.
Hmm. And you mentioned about, like, in society that people who are not being, who are being harmful to society are immediately pinpointed and weeded out, something like that you had mentioned, right? To unknown. Interestingly, Bindu ji, अब जैसे कुछ चतुरता से जो करते हैं ना, like on the surface there is pleasantness, and maybe in some way it even seems that they are fulfilling the outward desires of people, and in a way people मतलब उनको जो चाहिए वो मिल रहा है, तो वो उस चीज से कंट्रोल हो रहे हैं, but they're not actually meeting the honorable needs of a person. But they are these, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, how what you said, like about people who are not being useful to society. Like these days the word narcissist comes up a lot, and I don't know if you're very familiar with that word. आप हो उससे familiar?
Yeah, I'm familiar about it.
So, but they don't get weeded out. In fact, they're given a lot of respect, and there is a complete image which is perceived by people, especially the covert kinds, right? The one that's outwardly well, speaking politely or whatever, I don't know, but they are not hitting you with a stick on your head, but their manipulation is very dangerous in that way. But society is not weeding it out. In fact, they're respecting it greatly.
See, you should understand one thing. All people cannot be fooled always. There will be some people who can be manipulated or fooled sometime. But what happens is that it is only a question of time before the picture comes out truly. Second thing is that those who are in a situation where they do not enforce their own power, their own right, maybe whatever may be the condition, doesn't matter. But there is equal power and potential given to every human being in this world. That has to be understood by the individual, and he or she will have to take the care to protect it. That is where Krishna says in the Gita, Uddhared atmanam atmanam na atmanam avasadayet. Atmaiva bandhu atmanaha atmaiva ripuratma. Uddhared means you have to lift up yourself. Never decry yourself or demean yourself, because you are the best friend of yours and you are the worst enemy to yourself. Depends upon what route you want to take yourself. If you're demeaning yourself, you are your own enemy. But if you don't want to, if you do this thing, then you are your own best friend and you are the support and the power for yourself. That is what Krishna says. So the same thing applies to every one of us. Whether we want to play a victim or whether we want to... Saying helpless is, a situation where we say we are helpless, we are the thing. It won't last for long. You have to ensure that where can you get the power from. You have to do that yourself. Nobody will come and help you. We have to find our source of power within our own knowledge and means. It is available in this world. find out and use it. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with you, Binduji. With the Uddha word that you use, it's like Uddhar, right? आप अपना
Yes.
उद्धार खुद से ही करो, like uplift
Ah,
yourself.
yes.
No, I agree. There's no, when we usually say something, it might sound to some very small extent that, okay, somebody's the bad guy and oh, you're the victim. And I also used to dismiss this completely because there's no point. There's absolutely no desire to play the victim or do any game of that sort. But when you mentioned that society immediately catches it and pinpoints and throws it out, that's the only time I thought of this because only now one has started perceiving because always there was this thing of trying to give it the benefit of the doubt and there may be a misunderstanding. But I'm talking in a sense where a perception of a person is as if they are not, you said that they are being useful to society. That may be the perception. But if it's coming across like that and the person, it's not easy to spot the fact. So it's not about being a victim. It's that you genuinely can't see it initially, right? Binduji, agar koi theek se behave kar raha hai, baat kar raha hai, or whatever, right? They are seeming to do the good things, even charity to some extent, and they sort of have that persona. So sometimes it's not obvious, is all I'm saying. Right? Like a Duryodhan kind of character is very obvious, right? Like he said that he was doing things and he felt he knew this is wrong and he was still doing it because he was caught up in his nature. But it was obvious, like he was negative in a more obvious way. It wasn't like there was one facade being shown and something else was playing out underneath. With that, it might take a little bit of time for it to be realized that, okay, this is what's going on, and maybe it's not that easily seen in society or by us even. I don't know about others. But then, yes, if it is understood, it is seen, then of course one will not allow oneself to, you can only do your own learning over there and you can only do your own upliftment in that case. I can agree with that part, Ambuji. Only
Yeah.
confusion is that it is not actually something which is useful. It is, but it is being perceived by most as being useful. And that illusion, that heavy veil, that heavy curtain of that is quite thick.
Joy, one thing which I can tell you is that we create images of the society, the world, the friends, the relatives, etc. Society. And that image, we need to revisit and keep changing it with our own acquired knowledge. As we grow, we are becoming wiser with more experience of life. That has to be applied for re-evaluating the impressions which we had created about people around us. Unless we do that, we will be, as I said earlier, memory is what we are carrying. We have not evaluated that memory, whether it needs to be rewritten or not. Only if we rewrite our memories, we are progressing in our life. Otherwise, we are victims.
Yeah, but you are addressing here, Binduji, that the person directly, like let's say for myself, I can choose to be in the present and I can be aware and not go by a generalized perception formed of a person from the past, from others' perception, but there is a general perception which they have in society. Now, I am watching it in the present moment, for instance, like what you are saying, following just that, just be in the here and now, and not be in even an image, even if it was correct in the past, but right now it's not like that, or whether it was just an image. Both the cases, to be with what is the reality or be aware, no matter what it appears to be. But the difficulty is only when that is a generalized perception so thick that if there is some harm being done and if you speak out about it, it won't be recognized. Right, बिंदु जी? अब जैसे कोई पॉलिटिशियन है, उसका अपने बच्चे को ही परेशान कर रहा है घर में, तो आई एम जस्ट गिविंग अ स्मॉल एग्जांपल ऑफ, सिंस यू मेंशन सोसाइटी, तो अगर वो पुलिस को भी अप्रोच करेगा तो वो मानेंगे नहीं कि ये तो भाई देवता आदमी है, साधु आदमी है. अब इस बंदे की थोड़ी सी जान भी खतरे में आ ही रही है, बट वो कुछ खास एक्सटर्नली तो नहीं कर पा रहा है जो.
See, there is something with Joy we have also understood. Even Hitler could not last long. Forget about the worst human being whom we can think about, in this world, who have done so much of damage to humanity. Or even look at the people like who were the notorious kings in the past, who had done damage to the society and the thing. So you're talking about politicians. They will all be listened for some time. It is due to the situation in which they are holding the power, they are able to do the damage. But that doesn't mean they are permanent. Nothing is permanent in this world other than our own self. We need to take the energy or the souls from ourselves to withstand any this thing. Because at the mind level, if you are living, we will be under the onslaught of the world. But if we are taking the source from ourselves, Atma, what we talk about, as that is the source of my existence or my reality, that is the only place where you will get a permanent power and source with which you can approach the whole world. But if you depend upon the mind, it is wavering, it will be infected or affected, or it may be wrongly guiding us. All those things are possible. Because they are all momentary activities of the mind. Don't go by what mind says you.
हाँ जी. एक छोटी सी चीज, if I can just put it forward, Bindu ji, that and then if there's time, maybe you can answer it even later. It's like there is no disagreement with the Bhagavad Gita when Krishna is telling Arjun to fight, that Arjuna moment about मेरे सामने मेरे अपने खड़े हैं kind of thing, like these are my own people, and I don't want to pick up the bow and arrow kind of thing. ये सवाल आता है that a lot of times when it's spoken about karma or forgiveness, this does come. I mean, we do understand on one level what Krishna is saying, right? But many times this is also said. Even वही same spiritual point of view say that this is something karmic or whatever is coming up for whatever reason, even if it's not karmic. Well, you leave it, you forgive it and move on, and you work on yourself and your own development and don't be entangled in that. That does come up, right? And you don't want to go to a mental battle. It's not running away at all, but being with that peace, and you don't mentally, metaphorically get into a conflict. But I'm not saying you're escaping something. I'm saying that within yourself, you will choose that, okay, right, this is what that person is doing. And like you said, right now in this example with the narcissist, is you uplift yourself, you work on yourself, and whatever they are doing, then you leave it and you don't engage with the mind and you don't go to war. So that is also a kind of thing, a position that is, with all due respect and humbly, we do talk about forgiveness and detaching from these things. That is also one perspective, no, Binduji, when we don't necessarily go to war.
Joy, you have to understand one thing. In the spiritual path, the basic requirement which we are all supposed to be having, if we are not having, we are supposed to work on that, is Shat Sambhati. In that, Yama, Niyama, then there is something called titiksha. That yama niyama is how we act in the world and our mind react in the world. Both are yama and niyama. If you are successful, then you are able to draw a line between you and the world and the reaction from the world and others. But to supplement that, there is something called titiksha, which is the forbearance. The forbearance is to take care of things which are beyond the control. In that, sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratigara purvakam is the definition given by Shankaracharya. Sahanam means forbearing. Sarva dukkhanam means all type of maladies which are coming to us. Physical, mental, intellectual, any type of malady which is approaching upon to. Apratigara purvakam. Without even an iota of revenge in those incidents which is happening to us. If we can do that, then we are insulating the onslaught of the society or the West family or whatever may be that outside. That is the guard with which we can live in this world. But first we have to try our yama and niyama. Yama is where we are controlling the outer sense organs. The niyama is what we withdraw from this mind being engaging in those things. After these two, still if there is maladies which are approaching us, that is where the forbearance have to come as a guard, and that will be the what you call the ironclad wall which will protect us between us and the world. We need to practice this Shat Sampatti, which is very, very important in the spiritual path. Without doing that, if we enter into this path of spirituality, neither Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, nothing will work. Because we are qualified, the qualification for that has to start with the Yama, Niyama, Pratyahara, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan. All those things are important at their own level. Practice that, then we can say that in spite of practicing that, it is not working. Then we can revisit and find out why it is not working.
I think, Binduji, I must have missed something. I was trying to ask you that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna to go to battle, but many of the times the perspective is also given to forgive, value your own peace and move away. Of course, in this case, there was some other points which he told why he should go ahead with the war. But I was saying that sometimes that point also comes up in the metaphorical space of consciousness within us, where we will value working on our own upliftment and not engaging, just detaching and moving away, not going to that metaphorical war with the wrong doing kind of on the other side. That is what I was asking.
The war is there every moment in our life. That is inevitable. But how are we ready to face it or not is what makes it, helpful for us. And for that is what the Bhagavad Gita is all talking about. We need to understand from the point of view, it is not Arjuna who is facing his relatives there. The relatives means connection with you. And here that if we are the Arjuna, everything which has got connection with us are our relatives whom we have to take care that they don't do adharma to us. Namaste, Srini. Namaste, Srini. Namaste. Yeah, I didn't see you on Friday.
Yeah. I went our vacation with the
Okay. Easter holidays.
Yeah. Family vacation. Unexpectedly we went out there.
Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah, summer, right? I thought, we are going to have to make some more trips. So I don't know. I will try to catch up most of the things here.
Okay.
And Bindaj, in today's discussion, I have one simple question. What this modern psychology is suggesting about repression and what the Shat Sampatti are suggesting about forbearance and internal organ control, they seem to be in direct conflict, right? Is there a middle ground between those two?
No. See, the modern psychology, Aryan should be able to help us because she is a psychologist. The modern psychology is addressing our reactions. You have to understand that our reactions have got two things we have to keep it in mind. What we call from the Gita, this thing is the gunas, the Trigunatmika in the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, with which we are made. Basic ingredient of the individual. It is not that every mind is working the same way. That shows that there is difference between person to person. But if the reactions may appear to be similar between two people, but their ingredients are different. So the same solution which is being given from measuring the external reactions as a solution may not work in all the cases. That is why the approach between these two are not in the same thing. It is not opposing each other. Each one is addressing from different line. That's all.
Yeah. I think from childhood in my family, we've been told to not express so much. So I think I prefer the what psychology. That's why psychology always confuses me, because what my bringing up has taught me seems to be opposite of psychology kind of thing.
Namaste, Jesse.
Namaskar. Namaste, everyone. Hello. Thank you for being here, Bindu. Really appreciate the space. And I just want to say I'm getting so much out of the methodic teaching and revealing of all of the teachings in the Bhagavad Gita that you are doing. And although it's not the first time that I've gone through it, it's richer and deeper and much more profound in my daily life. So I give gratitude. Thank you. So my question has something to do with duty and responsibility and capacities versus attracting things. So here's what I'm talking about. I have found myself multiple times throughout my life in the role of a whistleblower, which means that someone who in a corporate or political life sees injustices and financial vicissitudes that need correcting because public money is being misused, etc. And I've done that like 3 or 4 times, and it's not comfortable and it's not fun. So, and I'm also asked, like by friends and family members, can you be the executress of my will or of my estate? So these things just come to me, and I don't feel like I'm attracting them. I've gotten better at being more at peace in the actions and moving through what needs to be taken care of. And yet I just wonder, is there a way where I can release the attractions for these things, or is that just my karma in this lifetime because I have the responsibility, capacity, and awareness to deal with them? Can I let go of that? That's my question.
See, Jesse, what comes to you is not because you are attracting them. They are getting attracted to you due to qualities of yourself. You can't change your quality because that is what you are born with. You cannot change it. But your interactive approach and the methodology in which you are handling it can be done in a way where it doesn't become a burden to you. That is when you do it as a service to the society. And when you do it as a service to the society, you are doing it without any load on yourself as a responsibility, but you are doing it from the approach, what is best for the given situation. You are giving the guidance and execution in the direction which it is need to be executed. Once it is done, you have to forget it and then don't linger with it anymore. That is the way to approach it.
Oh, thank you. So I don't need to worry about that I'm attracting these things. It's just, it's like randori in Aikido, where one thing comes at you from one side, another thing comes at you from the other, but you hold your center. And I'm not judging about the things that come, but I am in service and recognizing that. And there is peace in service. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bindo. Love you.
Thank you, Jessie. Love you.
Yeah, Bindaji, if there's a moment, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I was asking you earlier, I was saying this about the symbolicness of the war, not the physical war necessarily. And I think we are on page with that. We are on the same page. I agree with that Arjuna is kind of standing for almost, it's for the, so consciousness is Krishna and Arjuna is the person kind of thing for me, more symbolically. That is why I asked you that sometimes we will choose, no, that whatever is on the outside, you uplift yourself, don't have to engage, even if it is in a, even not only metaphorical, if it's in the physical field also, the playing field, that you don't actually have this conflict, or you don't take an outward stand, you value your peace and you sort of forgive whatever's coming up. I'm not saying you stand for abuse or anything, but you uplift yourself from within, that, like you were saying earlier also. So actually, I shouldn't have even given you the politician example, because actually we've spoken. So I think you can even have any real life example also. So if oneself, one just focuses on coming back to what one is and remembering that your awareness and whatever's like sort of happening on the outside. So from that point of view, I was saying that that point of view can also be given here also. The walking away from it all, even though you may say that, okay, there was injustice in the this thing with the Pandavas, which is true that they, I know that perspective about they did give them chances and they said, give us a small piece of land, and they were not willing to do it. But in the extreme sense, even with that, one can pick up one's, bags and baggage and say, fine, theek hai, you leave and you value your peace, even with literally, if they had to leave as kings with only the clothes on their back, then theek hai, cut your losses, so to speak, and leave. That could also be one point of view, no?
Yeah. See, in this whole world, and even a murder for self-protection is exempted from murder punishment. So as long as you are keeping yourself aloof from the, situations, keeping your, cool and not engaging into an argument or fight or anything, others cannot touch you when you are not going to be in a reactive mode. Others cannot touch you. So that is the only way, if you want to make a situation better, is to walk away. Do that.
And that is the point of view, no, which comes up when Arjuna is not wanting to engage in that, and if he wants to walk away, then that's the whole Gita which is being given on the battlefield sort of itself.
Yeah.
No, that no,
No,
go to war.
Arjuna's walking away was not because of that. Arjuna's walking away was not understanding the situation totally. That was a thing where he himself called, the war was called, and he was there in the middle of the war. And running away at that time is not the solution. He should have done that if he didn't want to hear that, no, we are not going to fight a war with my cousins. Then the assemblage of the war people would not have happened. But that didn't happen. That time he was ready. Now having assembled and everything, he cannot run away by the last minute because all of them others have become ready for the war. So when you have done a job for a certain aspect of it, you cannot just halfway do it and say that no, I'm not going to do it anymore. That is not acceptable.
I mean, with a grain of sand, thoda sa to wahan reh jata hai mere liye, because theek hai, I'll have to, the literal thing to go and read it, that okay, it was literally on the battlefield kind of thing. But this is more a bit of both, no, not just the physical battlefield, but it's also symbolic, right? If you feel a reaction, you know that this is injustice, it may come up, but even if it comes up, symbolic to being on a battlefield, that the thing is coming up, you're realizing that this isn't okay. This is injustice.
Joy, the moment you bring the word injustice, from whose point of view will be to be answered.
Exactly.
All those questions will come. Have you analyzed the situation to say that it is really injustice or not? That also will come the question. So we have to have the clear picture, the whole picture in mind before we judge, make statements, or even evaluate a situation. That's all I am saying, that be knowledgeable and approach the situations with the knowledge.
So I was using it in the Bhagavad Gita context only, that they said that it's an injustice. That is why Krishna is saying that you have to bring it back and do this kind of thing. So we may want to just say that just work on yourself and forget about all this calling it injustice and all, you leave and you move away. The only confusion that comes is a lot of times this example will be given by people that no, it is don't walk away. It's not that you have to only work on yourself. You need to, sort of in the outward also, they'll use the example ki Bhagavad Gita mein aise bola gaya hai. That is what I was trying to clarify. So आपका point of view क्या है इस पे कि can a person just choose to work on their own upliftment, their own self-realization and walk away and not be engaged in these things?
That's the only way. And that's what Krishna also says. Thank you, Jim. Prakash, can we stop?
Doji, is it? No more questions?
No more questions, and we can wind up.
Then I had a question, Bindoji, from the Bhagavad Gita classes, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, you talk about the Vita Raga, I forget the sequence, Vita Raga...
Raga, Bhaya, Krodha.
Yeah, Bhaya Krodha, right? So this aspect of this, and you juxtapose that with the practice of Sravana Manana, Nididhyasana. So I just wanted to ask you, in your own practice, how do you maintain the consistency of this? Because once you know it, you say, oh, I know it. But you still go back and practice every day. Can you share a little bit of those aspects of your routine, Binduji? Because I think that might be useful. It's very useful for me to know, but I think others might also like to know.
The sources for these things is what I was explaining that day when I was explaining this verse. Vita means having departed from, or these three has departed from such a person. What are they? Raga, Bhaya and Krodha. Now the Raga or Kama, both are synonymous in the meaning, is attraction or desires. Now this will come from a point where I have the otherness as a point of attraction or repulsion, either way. So, if we can know that the source, as I will keep on saying that the source for all empirical objects is one and the same, whether you call it as Brahman, Atman or soul or whatever name is not important. That one from which the world, which includes me, everything has come from that. So when I am developing a desire or an attraction towards anything, is because I am now removing the source of oneness and going by the apparent presence of things like names and forms or the qualities of it. When these are there, then the raga takes place. In a person who will be a person who doesn't have raga, a person who has understood that the source for all the empirical things is one and the same. So when that is understood, then there is no more desire or no more what you call karma in such a person. Bhaya is again from the otherness. So the source, when I don't understand, I can feel the otherness, and when the otherness is there, Dvitiya Dvai Bhayam Bhavati. From a second one, we can be having the fear of, limitation. I am being limited by something else, or something else is a threat to me for my own pursuit. And Krodha is from the base out of this thing. When my raga is obstructed, the Krodha comes. The anger is the worst enemy of human beings. And every damage in the society or the human beings happens is because of the Krodha. And Krodha is basically due to an expectation which is being hampered by something. We don't put ourselves that I had an expectation, therefore it is being hampered, and now I am getting angry for my expectation being broken, but I find a scapegoat and find somebody else as a blame person to whom I can blame for. And when this happens, the whole equation, the whole thing started with me is forgotten. That is the time when we have to understand that even the anger, which is the worst enemy of humanity, is also from each one of us, even we don't understand the whole picture. So all the three need to be understood from the point of view that the truth or the whole entire empirical world is from one source. Now, if you don't want to take it as Brahman or Atman, take it from our own experience. From a place of nothingness, which is my deep sleep, either my waking will come or my dream will come. So that nothingness is where that's one source, which is what we call it as the self or myself. I was there, but it is not the I which is there in the waking or in the dream. But when the waking started as an experience for me, I was also presented along with the world into the waking as a waking world of experiences. So that has come from that where the waking also was not there and I was also not there. That is my deep sleep. Now instead of coming to the waking, if I have gone to the dream, I became the dreamer and the dream world also has come from that same place. Forget even if you don't want to take Atma or Brahman or anything like that. From our own personal experience, we can say that it is that one source from which I come into the world of waking with the waking world and the waking experience, or to the dream world and dream experience. When neither waking or not dream is not there, I don't have anything otherness at all. The second one is not there present for me. I am all by myself. And therefore, everything which is being experienced as a waking world, including the waker, the dream or the dreamer, is all coming from that source. So we should know that it is one source which is giving rise to all our experiences. If we can understand at least this much, then we will know that the empirical world, the multiplicity is from my own projection. As I projected myself as waker, I projected the world as a waking world. When I projected as a dreamer, I projected the dream world. This has to be understood and practice that when we are in the waking. Then what will happen is that we will not be in the wrong impression that the world of objects are separate from me. That can be easily negated by thinking about our deep sleep as the source. You may not know as Atman or Brahman. Forget about it. Don't have to think about that way.
Yes, thank you very much, Binduji. You gave ways of doing Sravana Manana. Thank you very much. Jay wants to follow up. I think if Binduji is not tired, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, Jay. Thank you. So, Binduji, now the AI is coming in a big way and it is helping us many things. What is your interaction or opinion about AI helping in learning Advaita or summarizing all these great texts? Binduji, like, have you benefited or what is your opinion in the short term and the long term?
I am a person who uses technology to the maximum. I was born into a era when there was no calculator even. Forget about computer. During my engineering, we had used slide rule. I don't know how many of you may remember it or you may know it. In engineering, we use logarithmic tables for these things. And we had to by heart mentally tables, multiplication tables to up to 20 by 20. And not only that, even odd numbers and even numbers. We had to do even multiplication tables of factors, half, 1/4, 1/8, 1/6, and 1/32, 1 by 32. Multiplication tables of that. So, when the calculator was doing the same job, we were thrilled. Seeing the same thing which we were knowing by our table is now done by a machine, by that thing. So like that, I graduated from that to the computer, using computer, started doing, I am a mechanical engineer by my studies, but I learned programming. I started using Linux. I started with the DOS systems, then Word, this thing, then Fox Pro, and then came into that Windows when it appeared, the Windows 1 onwards, whatever that. Then we came to Word, Excel, and all those things. I had used even Fortran as a language for computer-based purpose. And today, I'm using AI also. They're all helping me for my living, but they are inevitable. Never it has come to me that they are inevitable. They will be replaced by something else later. And this AI, what we are talking about, depends upon how much the machines have been trained, the large language model. If it is trained up to the recent one, that system will give you a better analysis. The rest, it will take it from the current website, what are available. So it all depends upon how you make use of technology to your best. There was a time when we were not even able to talk on the phone. The telephones were not available in India. It came much later. There were waiting period for 13 years and 14 years and like that. Then it reduced to 5 years, 10 years. Then that is the time when mobile was started coming. Then when mobile came, we had to pay 16 rupees per minute for both incoming and outgoing. And today, mobile has become free, only data based. You have to pay only for the data. The calls have become free. Right? So the technology is there, Jai. Never get afraid of technology. You have to upgrade yourself along with the technology. Then only you will know the technology is a instrument, like from bicycle to car to aeroplane. We have graduated. We don't know what is we are going to be seeing and a lifetime. But sometime we will leave all these things and then we'll be freed from these things. So don't worry about it.
Thank you very much, Binduji. So I think we are getting close to the session. So as always, thanks everyone for coming and participating in this open discussion. We will reconvene at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow, Monday, IST, for the continuation of Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4. As I had mentioned earlier, the replays are available. So if you at least catch up on the last room, that might help you gain the continuity for the meticulous effort from Binduji conducting these classes. As always, thank you, Binduji. Over to you to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Jai, Joy, Srini, Jesse, for your questions. We'll meet tomorrow for the Bhagavad Gita at 8:30. Hari Om. Good night.
Any last words on the question I had posted? A lot of times this example is given that, Krishna has told Arjuna to go to war. So why are you not confronting on the outside? And why are you only working on yourself on the inside? Any last insight on this? And thank you.
I didn't get your question.
So a lot of times the Bhagavad Gita example is cited by people that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has told Arjuna also to go outward and in the world as well and confront whatever needs to be all this in the world itself. So why are you going only within yourself and working on yourself? Sometimes that will be said to us when we are on the spiritual path and valuing our peace, wanting to go inwards and walking away from that. Yeah, so it will be given.
Okay. I got it. That is exactly what Krishna did to Arjuna. He started that Ashocyan Anya Shochastam Prajnavasa Shabashate Nanushojanti Pandita. All he said is that, why are you talking about these problems of the world? One who knows the situation, he never laments on the situation because he knows what are the reality and the truth. So he first gives that advice to Arjuna. That is what is that na jayate mriyate va kadachit. All those things what he said is because from that point, first understand who you are. If you don't understand, then going to the world without knowing yourself will not be successful, because you have to know yourself before you engage in the world outside. And all those people who are engaging the world, they think they don't know themselves, but they have a wrong impression or wrong idea about who they are. This is what I said. We are carrying our memories based on what memories I think. I am born so and so. I am a man. I am a lady. Or I am so much of age. I have wealth. I don't have wealth. I have a family. I don't have family. All those connections which we are bringing is from the memory which we have think. But we do not know who we are. Why we are doing the spiritual path is, we need to know who I am before I am being able to interact with the world. Unless that is clear, it is entering into a battle without which arms you should take in your along with you for your fighting the world. That is the way in which we are going. So we are entering the world without knowing either the bow and arrow, nor the pistol, nor the gun, or anything. But just entering there and then looking for what should I do now. That is not the solution. That is why we have to know ourselves first. Okay.
Yes, I was saying that only, that as a seeker, or whatever we want to say, on a spiritual path, we just want to work on ourselves and look within and know who we are as awareness. We don't want to start by looking outwards and seeing that, all right, this is what is coming at me from the outside, and I should get into that outwardly. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om. Prakash.
Good night. Good night, Binduji.
Good night. Good night. Hari Om.